just on the other side of the Mississippi River with a great view of St. Louis, Missouri. We're in Madison, Illinois. Welcome to what's been known as Gateway Motorsports Park. It's World Wide Technology Raceway for the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 weekend. The NTT IndyCar Series is back and set to go on a Friday afternoon for a very busy day with IndyCar, Indy Next, USAC Silver Crown here tonight at the track as well. After this 1 hour practice that starts in moments, IndyCar qualifying coming up and a final practice tonight as well. And we go green under sunshine and very warm conditions. 86 degrees here today in the Midwest. Thanks for joining us, Kevin Lee, along with James Hinchcliffe. It's good to be back in action. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, pal. It's great to be back in action. Great to be back at an IndyCar race at the racetrack. And look, this is one that I think we heard a couple drivers talking yesterday about how this almost feels like a reset to the season.
Yep.
A 3-week break mid-season. Not sure we've ever had that before. Olympics, obviously, part of the reason for that. Very well received by teams and drivers alike. Been a grueling schedule up to this point. So some much deserved time off for everyone, but everyone's anxious to get back to work and get back to racing.
Here's a new look for the championship leader, Alex Palou, in the number 10 Chip Ganassi Racing car for the weekend. And there's how the championship stacks up right now. Power, Dixon are two of the three active drivers that have won at this track. Joseph Newgarden is the other.
Joseph's done it a fair few times in 8 races here. He's got 4 wins. Could argue it should have been 5. An accident while leading took him out of one of those, but a remarkable record here at World Wide Technology Raceway. But this guy leading the championship, first contender to really get out there and start laying down some honest laps. 168 miles an hour so far. If you're looking at speed, time-wise, that is a 26.7 second lap.
The new look for the number 10 Chip Ganassi Racing Honda this weekend. That's Samaritan's Purse that you see on the livery, a nonprofit organization that provides physical and spiritual aid to victims of war, natural disasters, disease, famine, poverty, over 100 countries. And then there's this guy who's finished second in 8 oval races, and I think 7 of them are to Penske's. Pato O'Ward here has done everything but win. 5 starts, all in the top 5, actually all in the top 4. Second 3 times, third and fourth. Last year finished second to Dixon, a mere 22 seconds behind, as Dixon did 2 less pit stops than everyone else, or most everyone else.
Pato comes in 5th in the championship, 71 points behind leader Palou. But again, a track that he's got a tremendous record at. So this is definitely going to be an event. They hope to close that gap, narrow down that margin. Not that Palou is any slouch here or on the ovals either. Cycles are going to be absolutely crucial as we get eyes on Nolan Siegel getting a little sideways, trying to push the entry. Because again, those pit cycles, as we said, so crucial. A big part of that is to maximize your in-laps, driving hard on the apron as you decel down to the PLC speed limit. And this driver here, you spoke to him yesterday, Kev. It was an interesting conversation because this is the first track that he's coming back to in an IndyCar. He has not managed to test anywhere that he subsequently raced in his previous starts with this team and with Dale Coyne and with JHR earlier. So let's take another little look here. You know, you do use the brakes sometimes a little bit here at Gateway, but you want to make sure the bias is exactly what you want it to be coming into the pits versus what you might use it for in 1 and 2 in traffic. Let's watch his onboard here. Yeah, right on a downshift. Just locked the rear wheels the tiniest a bit. Nice catch, though. Just look at how JHR is performing right now. You've got Grosjean hanging up there in the top 5, all Andretti engineered cars in front. Connor Daly in 8th. I mean, to have 2 JHR cars in the top 10 at this stage of practice, you know, we're past halfway. That's very impressive. they tested well, as you mentioned, Kev. I remember talking to Connor. He said, yeah, I think we were 4th on the charts, but I mean, in true race car driver's fashion, he's like, I was on a heater, man. I had one going, and we caught some traffic. So he thinks there's even more pace in this machine than what they saw at the test.
And he is familiar with the personnel. This is a new team in IndyCar, and we do note that Connor won a championship with Juncos in 2010 in Pro Mazda. Those people are not really involved, but most of the team staff came from Carlin, where Connor had a lot of short oval success. So he knows a lot of this group, and they know him.
Yeah, he said about 80%, maybe more, of the team is the same personnel that he worked with back in the Carlin days. So for his 11th crack at a new team in the series, he's kind of walking into a lot of familiar faces, which helps so much, Kev. I mean, as a driver stepping into a new environment, it's always so tough when you get one test day, which he got, and now straight into a race weekend. But having that familiarity with so many of the people that are part of the program is huge. And look, the results are showing right now. Right now, Daly ahead of all 3 of the Team Penske cars.
See Graham Rahal here. He sits in the 21st position, and always a challenge at this racetrack with the different configurations of each of the corners to find a balance. Rahal is struggling with one set of corners in particular. Take a listen.
3 and 4 just not settled.
The thing we're seeing, Graham, is the deploy at the exit at 2 is a little bit better than the exit of 4.
Yeah, that's not helping me. I feel like that's hurting the rear more. Rear is not good enough. I think that's what it comes down to.
So talking about the hybrid deployment there, which is always something that on these ovals is a bit of a challenge to figure out exactly where you want to deploy it. But it has been interesting. You always have to try to make some sort of compromise, because I don't think you can ever get a car perfectly here. There's some teams that are making actual setup changes down here. There's some downforce changes. There's a lot of things that you can work on to try and just find the car, or to try and make the car acceptable, I think would maybe be a good term to describe it.
As we get eyes on Kyle Kirkwood, who's sitting P2 right now.
And Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan just 21st, 22nd, and 24th on the chart. And then there's this team, 1, 2, 3. Pato O'Ward has jumped up to 4th to kind of break up the Andretti-associated domination. So they just have 4 of the top 5 right now.
Let's just ride for a lap here with Kyle. So pitting in this time, I was looking forward to watching through 3 and 4 again. Just having come off the onboard of Graham, the difference in confidence on power, on throttle, was night and day. Georgia, we're looking at the number 14. He's got some of the fewest laps turned so far. What's happening down there in the A.J. Foyt pit?
That's right. He was in 26. He jumped up to 22nd. But let's hear what he has to say about the A.J. Foyt Racing number 14.
It's not great. Just making sure you're intentional on going left on weight there. Is that correct? You'll need to go the other way. Yeah, I did that the first time. The car is just miserable to drive. Copy. Go back on that then and try something else, or keep that. Try something else.
Hey, James, you were right about that. He has so few laps here. He actually said he wasn't 100% confident before this session, even on the setup that they were bringing into this race. They're taking components from their Milwaukee test, the Iowa race, and even the big oval at IMS, and all the best components to bring it into here, but it's just not working for the team right now, and they're going to try to make it better before qualifying.
So at the top, we've got Honda, Chevy in the top 5. Good mix of teams, too. You've got, 5 teams in the top 5. 5 different teams in the top 5 in this session.
As we have eyes on the number 10, championship leader Alex Palou. We mentioned some engine penalties already. This is another car that's going to be taking a 9-spot grid penalty after qualifying this afternoon. His teammate Scott Dixon. The other one, we already spoke about Catherine Legg, and then as well the 60 of Felix Rosenquist. So another car that's running very well, good on pace, just like the 10 right here is. All 4 of those drivers knowing they're going to be +9 from where they qualified, where they actually start, and it's tough. It's tough, Kev. There's no good race to do it at, and unfortunately when the engine miles are up, they're up. You don't necessarily get to choose when you do it.
How about this for David Malukas? Fast here. This is no surprise. He's finished 2nd and 3rd in IndyCar. But let's go back to the junior formulas. He won both races in Indy Lights here in 2021. He beat someone named Kyle Kirkwood. Heard of him? He's
heard
pretty good. Finished third here as a 17-year-old in Indy Lights in 2019. That was one of his 2 podiums that year. So it's not just the last 2 years in IndyCar. This guy knows his way around.
So he's like never been off the podium here, basically.
Correct.
Yes, got it. Well, let's see if he can keep the record alive.
Let's look at final results from the full practice pre-qualifying. Remember, another practice post-qualifying this evening.
Yeah, a lot of the usual suspects, but a few outliers. I mean, David Malukas up at the top. Great to see that. Grosjean in the JHR car hanging on to the top 5. And Nolan Siegel, top rookie right now, doing a great job in his return to Gateway in a McLaren. First time he's been able to do that. But let's head down as we look at the second half of, or sorry, I guess second page. There's some guys struggling. You're not used to seeing Joseph Newgarden down there. Linus Lundqvist rebounding nicely after early issues. Santino Ferrucci still battling an unhappy race car as we look down through the last few drivers in the field.